All right, you are now tuned into the Rotated Views podcast. I am your host, Jimmylee Velez. I'm here with Gabe, Goose, Heck. 2022 year-end review. We made it. In this episode, the crew talks about their overall experiences / results in 2022. We cover topics that range from our favorite episodes, work / business, family, education, the pandemic, and much more. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Confucius and Les Brown. Guys, if you're new, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to download and subscribe. We drop a new episode every Tuesday morning for your listening pleasure. Kicking things off, gentlemen, we made it.
Yo,
What
made
up,
another
what up?
year.
Woo!
Another year come through.
Absolutely. All right, so obviously currently it's 2023, but we're doing a 2022 year-end review. This is episode 322, believe it or not. And basically we are covering episodes 274 to 321, 321. But just think back on 2022, right? Think of all of last year. And when you reflect back, what are one or two words that come to mind? One or two words. I know for me, I'll just kick it off and I will say progress. Maybe solid progress, if I'm going to go with two, with goal setting and accomplishments, just following through with a lot of stuff that I wanted to do. So I would say solid progress. I wouldn't say that there was a goal that was achieved that was like, yeah, it was like a lifetime achievement award type of deal, but solid progress, and I think it's going to make for an even better 2023 for me, specifically for the podcast, for the Blessed Lifestyle brand, and everything under those umbrellas. But solid progress. What about you guys? Anybody else want to jump in?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with progress too, but not solid progress. Like I could have pushed myself more to progress, but there were a few things that I accomplished last year that I'm kind of proud of or whatever. But this year I'm looking forward to this year to pushing myself even harder to get myself to where I really want to be.
Yeah.
For me, it's normalcy. Like this 2022 or 2022 is a little bit normal, a little bit more normal than 21. Like we were coming off of like the pandemic of freedom and stuff like that, and like having like without. So 22 is like the first year we actually went back to kind of normal lifestyle, normal living. And yeah, for 22 for me it was like little kind of like almost like free spirit. Like we didn't have like the year prior to 21, we had a wedding, we're mapping that stuff out, a little stressful times here and there. Like this year was just like kind of like I said, like a free spirit year. Like we were just kind of going with the flow of things. I business at the barbershop was doing really well. Like everything's just kind of like, so now going into 23, now it's time to like, for me to gear up and step it up a notch and kind of get a couple of things I want to get accomplished.
Heck yeah. I love it. Gabe?
And I guess it's kind of a little bit of a combination of both. I guess it's kind of like normal, but like moving forward. Because it's like, in podcasts, I didn't realize, like I was looking back at like the listing and stuff too, and I realized it was this year that we started at least doing the video, at least on my end of it, like trying to like do all that stuff, which is like what we talked about forever. It was actually finally like kicking off that. And it was like, it's weird. And it was like early in the year too, which was like, I was like surprised how early it was. It just felt like I've been doing it forever at this point. But I see them too, like kind of going fast forwarding to like, kind of, like I said, going back and getting back on the swing of things too. But it's like, especially at the end of the year when we started doing the challenge and all stuff too, is like kind of kicking off stuff that we should have been doing a while, which is kind of like, seems like maybe some of the theme of like this year anyway was like just doing what we should have been doing anyway, but kind of actually taking that step.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a great point. Was there something that you accomplished this year that you're proud of? Something that you accomplished this year that you're proud of? Gabe, I mean, to that point, capturing this this project on video and getting the proper equipment. And obviously every year we want to grow and improve, but again, it was something I always say, we're moving. That's why I love saying solid progress, because I'm not saying it's drastic progress, right? But it's moving forward. We're just inch by inch, just slowly moving forward towards
slowly and steady is getting there. Yeah,
exactly. That's literally my entire life, my entire career. Even like physically as a kid, I mean, I hit puberty late, so but it was still everything. Even though it was late, it was still slow and steady, slow and steady. I'll get there. I'll get there. I'll get there. 6 years of the podcast, 4 years of the Blessed Lifestyle brand, 10 years of being a homeowner, 10 years of marriage. It was 2022. It was pretty solid. And I'm looking back on it and I was just like, everything was just like little piece by little piece. Even just stuff that we're doing here and there to our homes, and just adding one or two little things. The cars, having fun with, the Jeep and adding one or two things to the Jeep. It's just all other things that I collect. From the baseball cards to the bullion and everything else in between. It felt like even some stocked items, not as in stock as in the stock market. Actually, yeah, just slowly adding to my positions, but it's that slow little pace. It's that it's just inching forwards. Nothing drastic really happened. But look past a year, you're like, holy smokes, we got this much further. Oh, the other thing, like with the progression too, is even like tattoos. I know it sounds so weird, but when you're doing projects and pieces, it's like those little increments, they start to add up and you're just like, oh my gosh, it's so funny, and do the planning and all that stuff. I wish when we did the challenge, I wish we would have did like one in the beginning of the year or maybe the middle of the year and then one at the end. I really love how we ended the year with the challenge. And maybe that would just be something we could have just like tracked along throughout the whole year. But the fact that we still did one really encouraged me on several levels, and I'm very proud of that. But yeah, I would say maybe do some things earlier on. And then to that exact same point, I finished a lot not as strong as I would like to with my reading. So I almost like flip-flopped. I didn't start as strong with exercising and things like that, but I did in the middle of the year, I did awesome with like fasting and all this other stuff, and started really strong with my reading, knocked out like 4 or 5 books in like the first few months. And then that kind of, the summer months hit, and it was just like I drug out a book, then drug out another book, and it just kind of slowed and really didn't end as strong as I wanted to, but I ended really strong on the other challenging things. So at all times I was being challenged. I just, I want to see if I can see how long, I want to see if I can stay consistent for a longer period of time. That's all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. With myself, I wish I would have held myself a little more accountable for the things that I wanted to accomplish and get done. I mean, I'm proud of the things that I did get done, but I kind of should have been a little more strong about it and stayed with it to get a lot more accomplished. Like, there was a few things that I did in my house that it could have been done in the summertime that could have been accomplished a long time ago. You know what I mean? And I kind of hesitated and waited, procrastinated. Again, like I said, got to hold myself accountable for all that. And this year I'm going to kind of do it a little stronger and push myself harder to get a lot more accomplished.
Goose or Gabe?
But it was kind of like same lines. Like I wish I would start a couple things earlier, especially like when we started the challenge. I was like, I had a couple false starts like in the beginning of the year. I was like, I start a couple of things and like it fell off really quickly. So that kind of helped like toward especially the challenge thing, which is something like I always said like I needed to do, wanted to do, and that kind of like really kind of like put the foot, really got me started, I should say. But I wish I would have started actually that earlier, and that would have really kick-started even like that challenge. I would have pushed myself harder, especially during that month where we're really going at it. Especially and I even wanting to read books and stuff too. It was like same thing. It's like, start a couple books, and it's just like you get out of the routine very quickly. But when when we were all keeping each other accountable, it was like stuff like that was like you force yourself to do it, and then you felt good about actually doing it.
Yeah, you felt the challenge. You felt like the competition going on. You're like, dang, I got to get this done.
Yes,
They're all
exactly.
watching me doing it, so we got to get this.
And
We got to
then
do it together.
and then like where I was at the end of it, is like you actually were looking forward to it, as opposed to like trying to force yourself to do it, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
But even then, like, yeah, I was like, just continue working myself. It was like all stuff was like you keep pushing stuff off, and it's like you just want to keep it going and just build on it as we go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Goose?
Yeah, no, for me, it's always like I always start the year off like, yeah, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to do this. Like, kind of hit it more like hardcore. That never happened. Then once we did the challenge, I'm like, dude, you know what? This is like, dude, this is I should just add. I just added a couple more things to my daily routine. I have to just add the going to the gym like I used to. I used to go to the gym on a daily basis, at least 4 or 5 times a week, and then it kind of just I don't know what happened. It fell off. But for my goal this year, that's going to be like a big thing. It's go back to the gym, worry about my health. Not getting any younger, so I got to really focus on that. And like we said when we did the challenge, my one weakness, well, huge weakness for me was reading a book, like reading anything. So like I want to try to focus on reading books, getting into that. So for my goals, one of my few goals for this year is like worry about my health and fitness, and then knowledge, just reading books and trying to just feed the brain.
Absolutely. I love it. All right, so when you think of 2022, maybe one of your biggest family memories, does anyone have a family memory that they would like to share? Something maybe you just did with your own little family, or something on a larger scale, just a family memory.
I'm gonna have to go with Wildwood with us. Like we all went out to Wildwood, and we were out there like this year, or last year rather, was the longest we've ever stayed out there. Was for 5-6 days or something like that, and it was just like so much bonding time. Like when we're at the house, we're just like so clustered and we're so on top of each other, even though we have our own freedom at home. But being there was just like a whole different vibe and a whole different connection where like everyone, all the kids were actually like getting along and like helping each other out and doing stuff, and like it was just like a whole good vibe. Like it just felt good being out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's one of my biggest things is last year going to Wildwood with the family.
Absolutely.
Yeah, same thing for me. A family vacation. We went to Myrtle Beach. That's like huge. We went with Lauren's family, so it was me and Ava. We went to spend time with them out on a whole different like. But it's like when you are on vacation, you can't work. All that stuff gets kind of pushed aside for the moment, and like there's nothing for you to do but to relax or enjoy time or have fun, sit on the beach and laugh. So that kind of just that week, 4 or 5 days or whatever it is like so peaceful. It's like I don't know.
Yeah.
So that was like a good thing. But also another thing for me with so Ava rides horses, and for the past like 3.5, 4 years, she's been working hard at riding. And like the beginning of last month, December, she got her first blue ribbon. Like that was huge because like I watched her work so hard with it, like to get there, and like I kind of worked with her at the same time. So for us, it was like a double accomplishment. Like it was like I don't know, getting her to those practices, getting her there, getting her, you know what I mean, getting her to better herself in this competition, and her actually working her tail off in during those practices. So when this big competition happened, she got the blue ribbon. That for me, that was like one of the big moments. It's small, but it's like for us, for me and Abe and like Lauren, it was pretty big. It was a big thing. Hear her name, like whatever.
Yeah.
And there's like hundreds of people there, like hundreds and hundreds of people there. So it's like that was like a pretty. That was at the tail end of the year. That was a cool like accomplishment. Not that she just won. It was like her work paid off.
Yeah, like you've seen her progress, right, from starting to beginning, and now you're seeing like her final, like she's actually doing this. And it's like, dang, she's been practicing this for quite some time, right?
And it's exciting, like seeing her, like so, like 3 or 4 years ago, she was like a veteran. She was like one of the younger ones, like learning whatever. Now she's like, not that she's a veteran, but now she's like winning awards, and she's still at a young age compared to the age bracket. But you see the younger girls looking up to her, like, "Oh, that's Ava, that's her right there." Like, it's so crazy, it's so cool.
That's
like,
awesome.
Yeah, because she's like
such
placing
an awesome
and
feeling.
like, it's crazy.
Heck yeah.
So I will say, for me personally, it was one that I didn't even think of because, well, I thought like, obviously I think about it every single day, but I didn't think of it as kind of like the the vacation thing. I always thought, initially I'm thinking I thought of two big things. There was a minor one where we had um sort of almost about a week long vacation with our good friends Tara and Chris at the mountain house, their mountain house. And we stayed there, and it was like uh it was the first time I think that whole entire year I truly disconnected from social media, from just everything work related, whatever business related, and took in Mother Nature. Now, you guys who know Chris, he's he's a nature guy and he just loves those
Mm.
kinds of things. So it's like when you're around people that are like that, you're more in tune with that stuff. And Goose and Heck, I know you guys remember this when we all went fishing at our friend Ruben's little lake house, and the boys catching their first fishes for the first time, and like it's just like ironed into my brain because I had set out
Mhm.
to be more adventurous in 2022. And Goose, we camped out in my backyard that past year, and we just did
Mhm.
fun like adventures that way. And then with Kel's family, we went to Mountain House to celebrate the life of her father. And Tara and Chris had met us down, but it was Kel's entire family, and
Mm.
so we hadn't done that in a while. And so when we came together, it was just everything was so chill. Even though it was only like three days, 4 days, whatever it was so chill. So it was a different setting. We've always done various different things. I think this was the first time we've done the mountains in a while with her whole family. That was like a thing that her dad loved. And then the other thing was back at the mountains, celebrating my 10-year wedding anniversary with with my wife, my two sons. We wanted to do something different, and my mom coming up with us, and it was just like almost like spoiling her in that sense. And she just seeing her face when we got there, and she was just, I'm so glad, same thing. She was kind of logging off, so to speak, for a couple of days, and just we truly enjoyed to heck what you were saying, like the boys they were the only kids there, so obviously they're just basically entertaining themselves. And then just like tapping into that, and then once again, Tara and Chris joined us the one night or whatever. But it's funny because you guys know I wanted to take on more adventures that year, and we did just that. And I want to continue that in 2023. It's just exciting, and when you just keep thinking about it, you keep thinking of memories and things that we did that
Yeah.
tap.
And what's funny is like, so you like, you're asking us like to bring up memories, stuff like that. And little by little, as you're speaking, it's like more things pop up like, oh, dang, remember we just did this. Oh, we just did that. Oh, remember like, it's just like so much that goes on throughout the year that you forget those little moments.
Yeah.
And it kind of like wraps everything all up when you start talking about one at a time and then bringing up like, time spent together. And stuff like even just like the girls still talk about like this past 4th of July when they were on the roof of your Jeep watching fireworks. Like,
Yeah.
we're on Theo's Jeep rooftop sitting up there watching the fireworks. That was awesome. And Nana had the music playing loud. And like, to them,
Yeah.
that was like the greatest thing ever. Like, they
Mhm.
remember that stuff. It's 4th of July. Proud to be an American. Like, we're just celebrating. The kids are on your rooftop. That's what they remember. But it's like little simple things like that. You take it in for the kids. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. All right, so let's switch gears a little bit, and we want to end obviously strong with the podcast, and hopefully, the viewers and the listeners, you had a fantastic 2022. Obviously, we wish you all the best in this coming year in 2023. I'm calling it the year of great prosperity. So, wishing you all the biggest health and wealth year yet. And I'm saying it right now, may 2023 be your best year yet. With that being said, we had a ton of guests on from episodes from 270s all the way up to 320s. And I'm going to just read off the list, and then we can talk about maybe some of the highlighted ones that maybe stick out in your mind. And we could just first of all thank all the guests who joined us. We have more guests joining us in this coming year. But we do this every year, call it the year-end review, just out of absolute gratitude from the bottom of our hearts. Thankful for the guests. They keep this thing going. Obviously, your love and support keeps this podcast going. So we appreciate that. The crew here, obviously, we had a fantastic year, I think, both individually and personally, and as a whole. So all good, positive things. But anyway, so let me jump into this list, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to give the title of the episode, and then the guest. And hey, if you're listening, you want to tap into one of these, I'm giving you all the titles. So family ties with the Service Family, personal branding with Scott Free DeVore, the challenge, which is the crew. So check those out. That's about 5 weeks, 5 episodes worth of us giving our feedback on the challenge, which was mentioned already multiple times. Versatile cleaning services with Shane Davis, Chase Your Dream, real life Monopoly boys, Kyle Curry, Josh Farley, and Ian Dixon. Pillars to Success, Chris Salem. Film Fest Filmmaking with Morgan Hart and Steve Demba. Camp for Kids with Mars Derry. Benefits of Therapy with Erica Holtz and Genevieve Powell. The Performance Coach with Bennett Schwartz. The Busy Beeb, Candace Renzi. Embrace Tutoring with Anthony Weinkoff. Reflexology with Meg Motz. Comedy on the Crick, Drew Duck. That was another good memory we had.
That was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
That was awesome.
Jack of All Trades with Georgie Berdamus. Maintaining Focus with Angelo Palacci. The Conqueror, Jerome Conquest. The Way Home with James Richardson. A Child's View with James Bennett Velez, my son. Diamond Striking with Justin Burke. Positive Impact with JB Driscoll. Prep Basketball with Earl Piner. Martial Arts with Eric Purcell. Franchising 2022 with Cliff Brown. Faith in 2022 with Danny Serrano. Be Great in 2022, Algernon Hall. Fitness in 2022, Evan Sneidman. And Crypto in 2022, Alex Owens. So as I go through that list, that's pretty cool, right? When you read through the list, and that's not all of our episodes. That's like the guests that we had on our episodes. As you all know, we had a huge, or just a crew. And so there's a lot more material out there, but just giving a huge thank you to all those guests listed. What is any one or two pop out when I read those off?
Well, like you said, with Drew and Comedy of the Creek.
Yeah.
So that was like a funny incident, because we went to go watch his comedy show, not knowing whatever. We were just trying to enjoy ourselves and have like the family get together like we usually kind of do. And when I showed up to like the place where it was the Blue Monkey Cafe or whatever, I seen Drew, and I haven't seen Drew, and I want to say probably like 8-9 years prior to that. And I'm like, yo, what's going on? Blah, blah, whatever. So we were like kind of we just said, what's up? And then we had to go to our tables. I had to meet up with my family, whatever. Dude, this show was phenomenal. It was so funny. They were like, it was on point. It was like, honestly, I didn't know what to expect, but it was definitely, it blew my expectations. Right. So at the end of the show, I walked up to Drew. I was like, yo, and he's like, yo, where you at? Like, as far as barbering, because I used to cut his hair. Now he's bald, but he has a nice beard. So I'm like, yo, come through the barber shop. I'll hook up your beard, whatever. I'm like, yo, my brother has a podcast. Like we're all in. Do you want to be in it? And it led off there. That's how he jumped on the podcast or something. I don't know how it kind of linked up, how like it zipped together. But dude, it was like one of those things that like we had a good old time, and I forgot like the relationship you have with like people that you haven't seen in years, and then it becomes like a thing that to the point where now he comes back to the barbershop frequently. He posts flyers all over the shop. We help promote him, and it's like that was like for more episodes. That was like one of the personal ones, because there's another one that we had, Angelo Palacci, which is the barber that works with me at the barbershop. Like he actually works to the left of me. He's like one of my guys, and that was awesome. That was like more like listening to him here. Like I know his story, but it was like having him tell his story and his feelings out, put it on the podcast, and there was just like a lot of like there was like a brotherly love like story with like, because he's an only child, so like all the stuff that he kind of went through, and like where he's at now, it's like I'm so proud of him and the things he's done. And actually, we got to get him back on. He just did like this whole like Christmas thing, like this kids the Secret Santa thing that he did on his own. Got had I think he gave 30 kids like a full Christmas. They came to he did everything on his
That's
own.
awesome.
Like, yeah,
That's awesome.
we like I supported him. We would like, and next year to be bigger. So there's his first round. He did it kind of on his own, like with the help of Kurt, but like it was Angelo. So next year, that's what I'm saying. We got to get Angelo back on for next year to blow this thing up. And yeah, dude, those two are the ones that kind of like pop out for me, and more that are personal to me because I know the guy. Same thing with like Eric Purcell. Like, remember him coming to the barbershop, cutting his hair. I'm like, yo, this dude's a badass guy. Like, this dude trains like these UFC fighters. He's sitting here in my shop. Like, he's been through like some stuff. I'm like, holy smoke. And that was Jim. You did that on your own. You hooked up with him and linked up with him. That was like, I didn't know much about him anyway. I just knew who he was on the outside, being like a coach and a gym owner. His story is super dope too. So like those stories kind of like they all start somewhere, and it's like a small conversation in the barbershop, and it turns into like they're on a podcast, and hundreds of people listen to their story. Who knows how it impact other people? But like those kind of right now as I'm talking, those three pop out for me the most.
Absolutely. Gabe or Heck?
Well, it seemed like it was a lot of like we were checking in with people we've had like either on the show before or we just had like past relationships with. Like seems like because like even like with like old like people we had obviously relationships before, like Chris Brown and Earl Piner, like we had kind of an ongoing thing, but actually getting them on the show was like kind of cool, kind of rekindling kind of like that conversation and stuff. So
no, I say that was awesome.
Yeah, and then like, but it seems like we have a lot of check-ins with like especially guys we haven't either had it on in a while or just like that are just like a regular like come throughs whatever.
Yeah, like we just had the Service family, right? We had them, the Service family. We had them on separate episodes, but this time around we had them all together: the mom, the dad, and the two boys. And it was just like that was actually dope to have them together, and they all explained their family thing and how they all work side by side and work with each other. Like that's like just so dope to see that people still do that. Like families still do that. They work side by side with each other to make accomplishments and to make things happen for each other. It's just awesome. It just feels like close to home because like how we are, we're always like trying to support each other. We try to make things happen for each other. We're always doing stuff like that. So like seeing an outside family like that doing it, it's just like it's touching.
Yeah. Yeah, I think obviously the first one that sticks out for me is A Child's View, and have my son James with me. I remember bringing him in the car, and driving over to the shop, and how like genuinely excited he was, dude. It breaks my heart. He brought like his own little bottle of water. He says, that I always take a bottle of water with me before I go, whatever. And he was just so amped up to be part of, in his mind, just something way bigger. Just to be part of, with his dad, his uncles or whatever. It's just a very cool, it was a cool experience, all together. And, even going through the editing process and re-listening back to his episode and just hearing his little voice, it was just a very cool moment. And I'm glad, obviously, that we have the platform where we can do things like that and expose, our kids to positive, uplifting, motivating, inspiring things like that. And so that's obviously, one of my, overall, life goals. And then the other one, which is interesting, is the one with Morris Dairy, Camp for Kids. The reason being was we were, out, me and Goose, I don't know if you remember, we went to, one of our friends' house for cigar night, and we were there, and it was like more of like a connection with him when he Morris Dairy then also came to Antoine's house and saw us, and he's like, oh my gosh, I was literally just thinking of you guys, and like that connection, the way it happened, everything was just like boom, boom, boom. It was one of those things. And that night, Angela was there too. It was just like everything kind of lined up. We had a good old time, having good fun. We were laughing our butts off that. I mean, I haven't laughed that hard in so long, but it was just, you're with it was just a good camaraderie, good fellowship with the guys. We enjoyed good conversation, a ton of laughs, but made some connections from there. Had some guests come on with the podcast for us, but that was pretty cool overall. Goose, what are you gonna say?
Yeah, no, because we've had Antoine on the podcast, and then like Morris comes from that. Obviously, like you said, we had Angelo, but like I'll never forget. We're sitting there, kind of like smoking cigars. We already had like a good vibe. We're feeling good. Like just it just feels good. Everyone's having fun. There's no negative vibe. Morris walks in. He's like, "Yo!" Like he screams and like points at us, right? And then he points at Jim. He's like, "Yo, I got something. I got something. We got to go. I want to be like." He didn't say I want to be on the podcast, but he's like, I got something. And then like it was something between them two. I had to like link up, and that's what it was. He wanted to be on the podcast and share some stuff. But like it was like his excitement to see us, it was like so crazy. And then like obviously a month or a few weeks later, we had him on. You guys connected and made it work. But it was just like if we didn't see each other that day, it would have been like it probably would have happened, but not as fast, you know? So it's just like
and even we had Dante and his brother were there too.
That's
and we
right.
had
Yes.
podcast before too.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
It was just a dope vibe. And then like we were having a good old time. You know, it was just laughs after laughs over there. But yeah, man, it was a good time. So that just stuck out with me because of those connections. And actually, I got introduced as a podcaster at that. They're like, that's the guy who owns Blessed Lifestyle Brand. He's the podcaster. Like I got introduced as like that was my profession. So it was a cool thing. Yeah, and then like another guy's like, you're the creator of Rotated Views podcast. I'm like, yeah. He's like, like this guy was telling us he listens to us every week. And so it was just like that. It was a cool, that whole thing. I don't know. I guess it was one of those things where we'd say, you know, the stars align or whatever.
But we were around a bunch of good men, like solid men. It wasn't just like, that day, like it's like there was like a bunch of group of good guys. Some of them I don't even know. I didn't even get a chance to meet because there was a lot of us.
You literally hadn't seen like third grade. Remember? He came in very last minute.
Yes, I hadn't seen him since like seriously, like we were like in high school, like probably like 7th, 8th grade. Yeah,
that's awesome, man. But anyway, like we said, this is the cool stuff. That's why I like to reminisce about the guests. Once again, thanking them for joining us, but you know, just hoping everyone has another, you know, monumental year. And as I think back to one of these other things that, you know, my wife is now a stay-at-home mom, and when all that happened last year was the first full year basically that she was home with our boys and able to take them to school and everything there. And just you realize the impact, I realized the impact that actually had on our family and brought us closer. You know, the more we sit here and reflect, it was like, what a very powerful year, a very powerful experience to have all that. And now we think about the people that we had on the podcast. I'm just like, a huge smile is in my heart right now, just because it was such a cool year. We set out to do certain things and we accomplished them. And, you know, and like I said, 2023, I feel it, you know, the biggest, the best year yet. And so if you're out there and you think you're wanting to tackle some of your life goals, this is the year, man. This is the year to go after it. Carry all the positives with you into 2023. Leave all the negative and the baggage from 2022 that is not going to benefit you moving forward. Leave that behind there. Forget about all the mistakes. Use them and learn and apply them as lessons. Don't be so hard on yourself. Forgive yourself and be grateful. Thank the people that are there around you. And let's move into 2023 in a spectacular fashion. And literally, like I keep saying, the year of great prosperity. Let's make it the greatest year yet. Very exciting things. I look forward to 2023. And we want to thank you all for joining us for another full scope of year. We're coming up on 7 years with the podcast. And so we're just making milestone after milestone. Let's make 2023 another flagship year and look forward to more positive things. So As always, we like to end things with quotes. The first one is by Confucius. By three methods may we learn wisdom. First, by reflection, which is the noblest. Second, by imitation, which is the easiest. And third, by experience, which is the bitterest. And the second one by Les Brown. Review your goals twice every day in order to be focused on achieving them. 2022 year-end review. In this episode, the crew talks about their overall experiences / results in 2022. We cover topics that range from our favorite episodes, work, business, family, education, and much more. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Confucius and Les Brown.
Awesome. Guys, thanks again for joining us. The Rotated Views podcast was produced for self-development purposes. Huge shout out to our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by the Blessed Lifestyle brand. That is BL3SSED.com. Also sponsored by The Motivation Files Unleashed. This motivational mixtape will be your fuel for success. Available on all platforms. Guys, don't forget to visit the website, JimmyleeVelez.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Rotated Views. If you have any inquiries or questions, email us at info@JimmyleeVelez.com. On behalf of myself and the rest of the crew, we wish you massive success. Stay blessed.